Okay, so we'll move on with the next part of this, where I'm just going to give the fork stanchion, the chrome part, a smooth down with some 600 grit wet and dry, which is just lubricated with some WD-40. It's better to use an oil-based lube than water with the chrome. And you're literally just wrapping this around the stanchion and work your way up and down. Like so. Paying particular attention to any areas with obvious little pits and marks like this, because this needs to be completely smooth. Of course, if your fork stanchion is badly pitted, then you're probably going to be looking at repair, replating or replacement. So you need to assess that on a fork leg by fork leg individual basis. The pitting on this is not actually too bad, and as I say, it will buff out, but quite often on right way up forks you get very bad pitting high up the stanchion where it's clamped in the triple trees or triple clamps, and that in itself is fine. It's just anywhere within the swept area where the seal is likely to pass. If you have pits, then it will damage your seal. We've smoothed down the stanchion, so that's ready once it's had a wipe over and a clean for the refit. We'll next move on to, I'll move this just up out of the way a little so we can see what we're doing, and we move on to the clip inside the fork tube. Now this is not your normal type of clip. It's, as I say, it's a circlip kind of thing, so it's going to be interesting seeing how this one goes. After a little bit of experimenting, it's clear that the ring is not going to pop out easily using a screwdriver or as I planned originally with my little hook tool here. However, some needle nose pliers with a good grippy surface will allow you to grip a hold of one end of it and pull that out towards the centre, trying not to mar the surface. And that will allow you it's a little fiddly, but essentially, there you go. It enables you to grip this, and then from this point you can walk it out like so. There we go. So there's the snap ring. As you can see, it's completely different to your typical snap ring that you find in a fork, and not the easiest to remove. However, there it is. Now, to remove the oil seal itself, hopefully this shouldn't be in too firm, and it should just be a case of levering it out like so with a screwdriver and walking round. There we go, and there's the seal popped out. and you can grab a hold of that and pull it out. Take note of the way that the seal fits. They normally fit the same way orientation wise for right way up and upside down forks, in the sense that if this was a right way up fork it would be this way and the seal would fit that way, with the open side facing down and the closed side facing up. If it's an upside down fork, it basically goes the opposite way around, with the open side facing up. It's basically the open side faces in towards the tube and the closed side faces out towards the cap or the stanchion in this case. And with that removed, there's a base washer, nice thick base washer, which can be removed like so. And then at this point it's become quite evident that the bushing can be removed, and hopefully that's quite easy. So I'll be able to pop that out and have a quick check and inspection of all these components, give them a good clean up and then reassemble them. So at this part we've got the fork stripped, as you've seen so far. We've removed the snap ring, given that a clean and inspected it. There's the old fork seal and the new fork seal, and you can see hopefully you've got the underside there, ever so slightly different design on the inner ring, but not so much so, but they're both the same size, which is the important factor here, internal and external diameters. And you can see the closed side there, which faces outwards, and then the open side which faces to the inside of the tube. So we've got the base washer, the thick washer there. So the base washer goes in, the fork seal, and then the snap ring, and then the scraper ring, the dust seal, which is here, will go lubricate and go onto the fork leg to allow that to be reassembled. But we'll have a look at that in just a moment. So what we need to do is have a quick inspection, visual, and a feel of the inner bearing surface, not the bearing surface, the inner seal surface, to make sure there's no burrs or nicks or gouges or anything like that. You'll see there the bushing. Now it won't, you can't really grip it enough to pull out, but if you give that a tap like so, it will start to pop that out. And you can, with a little bit of careful fettling, because you don't want to be damaging the surface, you can pop out this bushing and there we go, and inspect it. Now you'll notice the outside there is sort of funny stain, what have you. You don't need to worry about that, because the sliding surface is the inner part here. So provided you've got a nice even grey surface, which is the coating, you know that you're good. So that's fine. And then the other part I was talking about is it's kind of like a plastic sleeve of some description, which has got a strange, slightly rippled inner surface. It's a little bit like a sort of plastic drain pipe kind of thing, but I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's obviously there to reduce the stiction and to provide good lubrication for the stanchion. I'm just going to put the bushing back in here and make sure that's even, and then press that in evenly from both sides until it is flush with the bottom, like so. Next thing is the thick washer, which sits there. And then the next thing is going to be the new fork seal, which goes in this way around with the closed side facing outward. Now what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to get a dab of grease, and I'm going to lubricate the outer edge of the seal just to help this slot into place more easily. You can also use fork oil to do this. Push that in and get that started, like so. Oops. And get it nice and even to make sure it's going to slot in. Oops. A little bit tricky, but there we go. Just essentially what we're doing at the moment is just getting that even so that we can drive it in nice and straight. Because it does need to be a good snug fit in there. Once this is all in place and the snap ring is back in, I'll also lubricate the inner face of the seal as well, just to make absolutely sure. Just to make absolutely sure that that the stanchion doesn't snatch and damage that as it slides into place. There we go. The next thing I need to do is drive the seal until it seats on top. You need to drive it down until it seats on top of this flat washer and exposes the ring that the snap ring locks into. Now normally this procedure would be done with the stanchion in place, so what you need is a split seal driver, which is usually two halves. You can make them out of PVC pipe and the like. What I'm going to use, however, is the old seal to start driving this in, because it's the right kind of width to drive it in squarely. I'll just pop that out and make sure that's going okay. That's good. So we're back here with a bit of a homemade seal driver. Now this is basically a couple of lengths of 40mm PVC pipe, which will fit most forks. Basically a couple of hand-sized lengths like so. Make sure they're cut flush at one end and a slot down each one. And this enables you to wrap them around the stanchions of a fork, and you've got a smooth surface so it's not going to mar the fork. Using two pieces gives you two different thicknesses. So basically you wrap one around the stanchion and then the other one around this, overlapping them. Or in this case I'm just going to wrap one around the other to act as a driver, but you'll see the general principle. And if you push this through like so, what you get is, with this one sitting proud on the outer, you get a wider driver for the actual fork seal, and if you push it through so that the inner one is sitting proud, you get a narrower driver for the bushings. Sorry, I'll just move that in focus so you can see that. So you can use that to drive the bushings into place, and then push that up like so, and down on the stanchion if it's on the stanchion, and then you've got the slightly wider one for your fork seal.